Hey guys, it's Sarah at carnivore.yogi on Instagram. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button while you're here on my YouTube page. Today I want to talk about how you can ultimately fail at the carnivore diet. In all seriousness, I have been doing this way of eating for almost 11 months now, and I've made a ton of mistakes. So I'm going to hopefully help save you guys some major headaches along the way by just sharing some anecdotal evidence. Okay, so I actually have a list here that I'm going to read off of ways that you can fail at this way of eating. Number one, tell everyone you know. Tell everyone you know you're eating an animal-based diet, mostly comprised of meat. Let's think about this one. They have not done the research that you have. They have not followed Dr. Baker, Dr. Saladino. They have not listened to podcasts the way that you have. They haven't tried this. So my best piece of advice is allow yourself to do this for 90, 120 days. Give yourself some time. People are going to notice a change in you. I pretty much guarantee that. People started asking me within the first 6 weeks what I was doing differently. They noticed a change in my skin. They noticed a change in my confidence. Just everything about me started to change. So let people ask you, and then be careful even with those people who you tell, because it's mentally difficult enough to make a shift to start doing this way of life, and you need to surround yourself with positivity and support. If you're telling everyone about this, most likely it's not going to go over well. People, like I said, they haven't done the research that you have. They're not going to understand. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, start fasting right away. Fasting is a very, very trendy thing in the carnivore space and in the keto space. A lot of people start doing it. I honestly think that you should wait a while, and a while being like maybe 6 months, maybe a year before you start doing, absolutely before you start doing any extended fasting. I think I started extended fasting way too early. It wrecked my cycle, wrecked my hormones. Thankfully, carnivore diet's extremely healing, so letting myself eat and eat a meat-based diet has fixed all of that. I'm back onto regular cycles and everything's good now. But extended fasting too early on in this process, I think you're going to set yourself up for failure. And some people just aren't going to need to extended fast. I heard Dr. Baker talk about it on a podcast that, you know what? Everyone doesn't need to extended fast. The carnivore diet is a fasting mimicking diet. So you're already cutting out so many things that your body is already going into a state of autophagy just by following the diet. So intermittent fasting, that will probably happen naturally. You're probably going to find yourself, eating less and eating less frequently, but don't force it. Let it happen intuitively, okay? Number three, track every single morsel. Get out your FitnessPal or your carb counter or whatever and track every single piece of food that you eat and freak out about your calories. That's been a hard one for me. I have gone through days of tracking and not tracking, and honestly, when I do the best, when my body does the best, is when I'm eating intuitively. Okay, so some days that might be 2 ribeyes. Some days that might be not eating anything until much later in the day. So you start to learn how to trust your body and your hunger signals. Don't try to set a specific amount of calories or macros. Macros are calculated if you go on the If It Fits Your Macros. Those are calculated based on someone eating a standard American diet with carbohydrate. When you're taking out the carbohydrate, your body is a different chemical reaction. Now, this is definitely not a license to go all you can eat as much as you want, eat 5 pounds of meat a day. You may find out some days you need 5 pounds of meat. You may find some days you just need 1. But don't place these limits on yourself. Again, don't go to an all-you-can-eat buffet and stuff and gorge yourself. What you really want to do, very basic advice, eat when you're hungry and only when you're truly hungry, and then stop when you're full. And it will take some time to kind of figure this stuff out. But don't go into this with macros, okay, and tracking. Next one, another thing about tracking, do not weigh yourself, I would say, for the first 90 days, and definitely don't weigh yourself every day. Your blood and bone volume are both going to change. So you may not see any change at all on the scale. You might even see it go up. Some people, it just depends on where you're starting from. I started off really at a pretty decent, healthy weight. So, and yeah, I wanted to lose a little bit of weight. but my bone density changed. Get a DEXA scan, get an in-body scan to see your lean body mass, to see your bone density, to see all of those things. The carnivore diet is going to improve all of those things. You will get an uptick in lean body mass and you will have some fat loss. I can't tell you time period, time frame, but going and stepping on the scale every single day or regularly is going to mess with your head. Take pictures of yourself. Get a DEXA scan. Use those as take measurements like around your waist. Use a tape measure. But don't get attached to that stuff. There are tons of stories of people who did the carnivore diet, and these are people who are relatively healthy weight, gained weight, maybe for the first 3-6 months, then all of a sudden, boom, that weight just fell right off. So don't go by those numbers on the scale, especially if you really don't have that much weight to lose. Okay. Now, if you have a lot of weight to lose, more than likely that's going to just start falling right off once you start carnivore. But don't get on that scale and weigh every day. You're just going to drive yourself insane. Okay. Okay. Next one, go balls to the walls with exercise. No, your body is going to go through an adaptation period when you're coming off of carbohydrates. And even if you've been keto for a while, you're going to experience an adaptation because you are still getting some carbohydrate on keto. It's 20 grams of carbs or less per day. You're going to 0. So you're going to experience a change. Now, I experienced this when I started the Carnivore 75 hard with Nutrition with Judy. I'm about 41 days in now. But those first couple weeks, I had kind of been sliding off, having Quest bars here and there, avocado, handful of berries here and there. I was still eating a largely meat-based and what some people would call a keto diet. But I went through a little adaptation period. When you're going through adaptation, you're going to be tired. Your body is using a lot of energy. It's going through a big chemical change inside. So it is not the time to start CrossFit or spend hours at the gym. What I'm going to recommend is that you do move your body, get outside, walk, look at the sun, go sit in the sauna if you can. Do gentle exercise, do more like yoga. Keep yourself moving. You may find that your regular workout routine is going to suffer for a little bit. I'm talking 60 to 90 days if you're brand new to this. So don't force yourself to exercise. Remember that our bodies change more through nutrition than they do through exercise. So nutrition has to be the foundation. After you get adapted, you can get in there and your workouts can get back to where they were and probably even get better. But don't start this out and go balls to the walls with your exercise, okay? Next one, be elitist. I'm only going to have grass-fed beef from, regenerative farms, and I'm only going to have this and that. Okay, I am a huge proponent of regenerative agriculture, huge fan of grass-fed beef, but is it sustainable for me to do that every single day all the time? Well, I do my damn best. I'm going to tell you that. But honestly, occasionally I do have some grain-fed beef. Occasionally I do not have something from a regenerative farm because it's just all that I can get at the time. And I would rather have meat than no meat. I would rather not force myself to fast and have something to eat that's going to nourish my body. The jury's still out on this grass-fed beef thing. Yeah, it is shown to be healthier and have healthier fats and all that stuff for you, but don't force yourself to just have that, especially if you can't afford it. The meat that you can afford and is available to you is going to be better than trying to break your budget to always get that grass-fed beef. Buy a cow from a farmer if that's what you want to do. You're going to find a way to do it, but don't make that a hard bottom line, because if you create these rigid rules for yourself, you're going to be more likely to just say screw it and throw the whole thing away. Next one, be rigid about eating windows. I'm only going to have an 8-hour eat. And this is really a lot of women here too, okay? We have a 28-day cycle that we go through, most of us, and our hormones are going to be different. So for me, from days 1 to 15, oh yeah, intermittent fasting, super easy, no problem. When I'm in my ovulation time, really difficult to stick into a perfect eating window at a specific time. I'm going to only start eating after 1 p.m. No, my body is hungry and it is telling me, feed me, nourish me, please. as long as I'm eating this meat-based diet, I can trust my hunger signals. I'm not eating carbohydrates. My insulin's not going on a roller coaster. I can trust my hunger signals. So there are certain days of the month that I am not rigid about what time I'm going to eat. Some days I wake up, and especially the month before my cycle, I'm going to eat first thing in the morning. You know, I'm going to finish my eating probably a little earlier in the day, because I do try to do, you know, somewhat of a eating window, but I've been doing this almost 11 months. If you're in the first 3 to 6 months, don't stick to a rigid eating window. You might find that it happens naturally, but don't let it be your bottom line. Don't just take it easy. That's my big takeaway message from this whole thing, is take it easy. And the last thing I'm going to add on here is, don't force yourself to eat stuff you don't like. I have done this. And you can look back at some of my other videos. I forced myself to eat raw frozen liver for 21 days. And I did have a big nutrient boost. And now I'm kind of a little more intuitive with it. If I start feeling like low energy, or, you know, just like, oh, I need a little boost here, I'll go for that raw liver and I'll swallow it down. But I'm not going to force myself to eat it every single day. I'm not going to force myself to eat kidney or things that I'm like, ooh, I don't want that. It's better just to eat stuff that you enjoy. I enjoy ribeye from my grill. That's mostly what I'm going to eat. Okay, I'm not going to force myself. I like salmon roe, but if you don't like it, if it makes you want to gag, do not force it down. Don't force stuff down. Okay, so big takeaway message here. Keep it as simple as you can. You want this to be sustainable. This is not a diet that you want to just do for a month or 2 weeks or whatever to kickstart yourself. I mean, you can use it that way. But for me, this has become a lifestyle, and it's become the most maintainable way of eating that I've ever had in my life. Honestly, so easy, so seamless. This is the first time I can say in my whole life that I feel like I'm intuitively eating. I'm intuitively listening to my hunger signals, stopping when I'm full. You know, I'm not going on food binges, which for me has been a huge problem my whole life. Those addiction behaviors are pretty much non-existent as long as I don't awaken the beast and have artificial sweeteners and things that are not necessarily carnivore. I'm okay. So just keep it as simple as possible. Surround yourself with positive energy, surround yourself with support, and don't force things. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't force things. If you mess up, just get back on. Don't make it a big deal, but try not to mess up. Try not to put yourself. It's better to be preventative. If you're having cravings, if you're feeling like you want something, eat another steak. Eat some more burgers. And I know it's like, oh my gosh, I'm worried about the calories, I'm worried about the macros, whatever. Just trust me on this. It is much better to have another steak than it is to go and grab that cake or that cookie or whatever it is that you're craving. Satisfy yourself with meat, okay? And then you're gonna wake up the next day, you're gonna feel better. Anytime I've satisfied myself with meat, I have not had a crazy inflammation reaction in my body. I've not felt horrible the next day, and I've been able to just keep going, you know. But anytime I've given into those sugar cravings, I feel terrible, I have inflammation, and it takes me several days to start feeling like normal again. So be preventative rather than try to like fix it after it's happened. So I hope this was super helpful. I'm going to keep on producing more and more content for you guys on this channel about my carnivore journey. But yeah, please subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get notified when I have a new video out, and have a super fabulous rest of your day. Thank you.